Welcome, miracle makers. Today we are talking about how to maintain and transform a relationship with an quote unquote angry person. Our guest teacher, woohoo, again for a second week in a row, is Greg Larsen. Last week it was a little bit of a surprise to me that he had time, and so I'm so excited that he's here right now sharing this time with us to really bring forward his depth of wisdom and knowledge. And he was one of my spiritual teachers when I first started on this journey of heal, feel, and thrive. When I started out in as a young doctor and working in clinics, non-government organizations, along the journey, I met this incredible man named Greg Larsen. This incredible man was leading workshops for the Institute of Noetic Sciences, was speaking at spiritual centers in California and when I met him in Nashville and then later in California. He formed and created workshops, and he would run things by me as we were processing, growing, and delivering packages of possibilities around. And I finally got to meet myself, the me that I had always been running from, because this incredible coach, this incredible leader spent time, and he was leading Eckhart Tolle movements, Power of Now movements, talks at the Bodhi tree. And I had all of this scientific medical training and service behind me, but I didn't have the ability to be present in the moment. And I didn't have the patience to be with myself or to nurture anything that came up about me emotionally that I didn't want to recognize. The shadow self, the angry self, the hurt self, the egoic self. I ran from her. And spending time with Mr. Power of Now, I called him Mr. Happy as Humanly Possible. And he is the co-founder of Miracle Makers Academy. When I found him and could sit with what he brought to the table, with the teachings, he connected a lot of dots. Byron Katie's Loving What Is, Deepak Chopra's Spiritual Truths. Even though I'd read them, I didn't incorporate them into my body. Baby, what would you add about yourself?
Let's see. In our relationships, or in our relationship, I told you from the very beginning, because I had learned this from Eckhart Tolle, which is, you have to recognize that the person you're in relationship or married to, however you want to, whatever that looks like for you, you fell in love with them and married them because you saw their essence. And so when they're angry or when they're enraged or when they're triggered or their pain body is active, you have to be able to look through the pain that's causing that and see their essence. And so I knew that before we got married or before we got together. So that's always been my practice, is to look through whatever is coming up and see the person that totally lit up my heart and lit up my world. It made me tingly from head to toe, and remember who you were. Go back to that person over and over, because you don't want to mistake them for the pain. Because the pain wasn't your fault. The pain wasn't something you were born and said, hi, I want to be pained and beaten, and all those things that happened to you. You didn't sign up for that. That's just what happened to you. So I don't want to mistake that, your life situation, for the beautiful essence of love and compassion and giving that you are.
And so we want to bring that out to you, miracle makers.
Yes.
Right? We want to bring that out to you, which is the essence of who you are, is this love being in service, in truth, and to the greatest good that you can create. And then there is the second part of you, the pain body. This incredible pain body has spent a lot of time generating energy in protecting itself. And every time the pain body comes up, it becomes such an incredible vessel for taking over your body. I want to say that another way. When I met Greg, I was either love, 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 service, 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 or I was my pain body. And when the pain body came up, I didn't know how to sit with it, so I ran. I moved every 6 months. I didn't date longer than the first date. And for our relationship, I got married to have children. It took me at least 7 years to fall in love. And we have struggled. I have struggled in the marriage the whole time. I've struggled with being able to fully appreciate everything from this incredible human being and this beautiful person that's here, because of this there's love, 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 service, 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 freedom, 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 fast, 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 joy, 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 fast, 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 remembering ideas, movement, movement, movement. That's me. Or I can stay up all day, all night. I can work. I can go to the next thing. And then there is the energy of someone else that I have to share energy with, share children with, share and transfer communication with. And every time we communicate, a lot of energy comes up. And what I mean by that is, in the past, it used to be me that would get angry and scared and frustrated. And transformation has come in, and I can now see and feel and the meditation and move forward with that growth. Quite often, you will not see people transparently share this information. As a miracle maker, I'm sharing this because I want you to know it's a struggle. It's a constant choice, willpower, energy. I think at least 2 times we've been separated, at least. And what keeps us and grows us and allows us to go to the next stage or the next day or to the next degree of love is the service to community, is the service to our kids. Will we always maintain that we have to be a married couple? But right, will we always maintain that? We don't know. We don't know, because for us, there is something greater than ourselves that's causing us to move forward in everything we do. Maybe I'd love for you to share this, because I think it's so important. This energy of really understanding, like this current moment, understanding everything transforms, everything changes. Everything is either growing you, expanding you, and it's okay to really address the areas that you struggle in. I don't struggle in being of service. I do struggle with people yelling at me, right? I do struggle with that, and I don't want to. I do struggle with things that are not moving at the pace that I would like them to, something that I struggle with. And it's so important for us to call upon the resources that we have around us. And I love that you brought up Dr. Joe Dispenza, right? You practice what you intend to create. You practice. If you are in a committed relationship, the ideal place, feeling is stability. So this incredible journey of stability within the community of miracle makers, within this Larsen family, within, we are going to grow a strength greater than sort of like rooted trees, right? We will grow strong and able to have others be nurtured by our shade or by the fruit that we grow together. And so, baby, I'd love for you to address some of the thoughts that are coming up as I share this.
Address them. Do you have a specific question?
Okay, so as we've been in this relationship since 2003. 2004, we got married, had our first child. 2006, had our second child. I think 2011, you moved to Minnesota. We were bi-coastal, right? The first real movement. Then in Nashville. Then currently, we've been back in California since 2013. Is that correct?
That's right.
So what's it like to be in a relationship that struggles and to powerfully be in service to something greater than yourself?
Well, I think you've struggled more with the relationship than I have. So I would say, my journey has been one of, well, like I talked earlier, something always look through the pain or always look past the unconsciousness to see the conscious light at the, on the other side. Something I've always shared with you, and it's kind of been like a bedrock of our relationship, is you're forgiven before you do anything. Which is, something that's been offered to you from the very beginning, and it's still offered to you today. So I think we have different experiences in the relationship. And so I'll just speak for me then. It's been something I've recognized from the beginning is that, there was a lot of pain. Remember, the first time you shared your story, you shared it in the third person, and you were so, choked up by it, you could barely squeak out, the words about when you shared that, what happened when you were 14 and being arranged in a marriage and being, physically and emotionally abused. At that point, you could barely share that was you. You had to share it as a third person. And then, so as I was witnessing all of this, it was very evident through our being in relation with you, because we hung out every day, that you were amazing, loving, fun, compassionate, outgoing, driven, all this stuff like that. So that was very evident. Yet it was very evident also that there was this, this past that created a lot of trauma. And so as we went through that journey of healing, of course, that's our motto here, is to heal, feel, and thrive, is that, it's easy for me to say yes continually to our relationship, because from the very beginning, you were committed to healing, and you were committed to a journey of, spiritually transforming, emotionally healing, and, kind of like this metamorphosis of coming out of the old you and into the new you. And so because that was...
Thank you for that reflection. And I would say the reason that I stayed for us, right? The reason is, and I don't know if you're fully able to see it completely, but there is a recognition that beyond the anger volume that comes out of you, right? Beyond the 6 foot, whatever you are, that is pointing down and at me, right? That energy for me, those words, you're forgiven before you do anything, you're forgiven before you do anything, forgiven before you do anything, allows, who would you be without that thought, right? So here is the wounded feminine archetype needing to be, for me, I was the wounded feminine healer that needed someone to validate me and to really share and create that there was worthiness within me as an Asian woman, as a someone who really wanted to be good, wanted sovereignty, connection to source and God. Here was the best man that I could find. Truly, he recycled, he told the truth, measured everything. And together we co-created. You're forgiven before you do anything. Anytime that, volume and loudness and sort of the crash and burn of accidents and cars and all of sort of that energy would come up, the me that could find, wow, who are you without that anger? For him, who am I without that anger, right? There was a constant growth in the direction of service to a community, service to our kids, a service, something greater than ourselves. And it's so important that you define, dear Miracle Maker, for each one of your relationships, what that is. What is that with your girlfriend that you're choosing, with your children? What is that? For us, for me, I can speak for myself, it's to launch them forward, to launch their arrow and their energy into the future as far as they can go. My relationship with Greg truly is to empower this amazing spiritual teacher for each person that comes into the field. There's an inner knowing that there is some way that we fit together. And it's really, really important because we talk about within Miracle Makers, that this love coaching, right? Love coaching here, we label it so beautifully. Stop wasting time creating relationships that aren't going to go anywhere. Instead, truly invent where you want every relationship to go, or how you can possibly fit with every single person that's part of your experience. Choose, you fit. And when there's a better fit, you then amplify to that next energy, to that next field. You love I want to say that another way. But there is this thing about us not being able to see ourselves. You cannot see yourself. Only one of your eyes, like your eyes can never look at each other. You can look in a mirror. You can examine so much of yourself, but it only occurs in relationship, that when you get feedback, for you to really, truly be able to embody, understand, know what you're becoming and how you belong to every person, every interaction, everything that's occurring with you. Baby, what else would you add to that?
Well, we are fortunate enough as a couple that we have a shared a goal to, help people transform physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And we do that through, I'm sorry, we got the doggies barking in the background. They're like, yes, 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 that's what you're doing, yes. And so I think we're very lucky that we have this, our common goal is not two separate careers, or is not, not two separate, pursuits, but it's a common pursuit. And that not only is it, benefiting the world around us, but as we, teach and share and heal, we, are learning and healing and growing.
We are learning and healing and growing. And part of that transmission, everything that we get, right? As soon as we get it, we share it, which I really, really appreciate about you. There's no holding back, and there's this constant, it comes from somewhere, it comes from source, and we gratefully offer it to everyone and everything around us as it's coming in. Again, something so, so beautiful and so, so profound. This part about anger, how do you define it? And all the years of teaching and all the work that you've done, you've been teaching at least since 2003. I met you in 2003. You were going through or went through a divorce, and your first divorce, this incredible divorce woman gave you up so you could have children. It was really, really a love affair. She realized she wasn't going to take the journey of becoming a mom. So she knew how important that was to you. The first time she met your mother said to her, as she was introducing, Greg wants to have children. And so she gave you up in order for you to have kids. In this journey of going from divorced, reinventing yourself, becoming the spiritual teacher that you are now, the author, the reality TV star, this journey that you've gone on, what or how do you see the emotion or the energy of anger?
Well, to look at it in the spiritual perspective, it's a resistance to what is. Life is unfolding in this moment in a certain way, and that can either be consciously, accepted and then consciously responded to, or it can trigger, unconsciousness within, past pain, whatever that is. And then instead of a conscious response, it's a unconscious reaction, which is, to me, is what anger is.
So anger being an unconscious reaction.
Yeah.
So beautiful. And then what are some of the tools that you found that help you when you're feeling angry?
Well, just as you meant, as you were, closing out your sentence there, I took a deep breath. So, breathing deeply.
Yeah.
I think when we're angry, we have probably breathe, take shorter breaths. We're disconnected from our body. There's energy, almost like cancerous, energy flowing through our body. It's not physical cancer, but it's like an energetic cancer that's flowing through our body. And the only way to quell that is for me immediately, is just to take deep breaths, become connected again through breathing.
To really step into breathing. And this is one of the things that, let's see if I can change this back to me for for some reason it's yesterday's class. And for all the miracle makers, if you're able to go back and watch yesterday's class on anger, we really defined anger in this, the what happens to the brain, what happens to your heart, what happens to your liver, so, some of the chemicals that happen. But anger really is in between denial, there's anger, and then there's bargaining. When anger comes up, if you can sit with anger is a transitory, it's a transition. If you can connect with your heart and truly understand why the source, the control that your anger is wanting to express. Anger comes up in between, again, denial and bargaining. Whenever the emotion, and your body is so intelligent that it knows your temperament. And if your temperament has had a lot of emotional energy connected to epinephrine and norepinephrine, also called adrenaline release, testosterone and cortisol get released every time something that you really wanted to be in your control gets out of your control. The first part is most people are in denial of how little control they have of anything out there, outside of you. What you've got total control of, and many people are in denial of the total control of what's within them. No one ever wants to get angry, right? No one ever says, okay, today I'm going to explode all over this person. And there's no one ever really wants that energy to come up. So there's denial of that, of out here, denial of the power in here. I'm going to say that another way because this is such an important concept. Anytime that you or anyone else has gotten angry, it's because there is a loss of control. And our genetics, our biology, the field that we live in is controlled. I'm putting the word controlled by collective, by the collective, by the field around us. You are a biological, magnetic, light-producing, multidimensional being. You transmit energy and you receive energy. Sometimes the energy that you receive is from the earth, other beings, earth, or nature around you. And that not being able to control comes through your body. And as a child, as a baby, you grew a response, a feedback system that became your temperament. Your body, your cells, everything multiplied, everything that you knew out there to help you cope with all of the transmissions that were happening. You get 4 billion bits of information a second. You can only register 2,000 bits of information. Most of the information, you are about consistency, making it the same over and over again so you will respond and continue efficiently. For there to be change in your life, a great energy has to come in. A body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest stays at rest. If you want to change, you have to a great deal of energy in your subtle body, in your subtle energy field. You have to remember who you are. You have to remember really the purpose in which this you that exists, multidimensional you, is here to remember, connect with, and belong to everyone and everything that's transmitting through the energy field that you are and that everything else is. It's so plain and simple sometimes, right? When we think of it, the meaning of life. This is Alan Watts. The meaning of life is just to be alive. It's so plain and so obvious and so simple, and yet everybody rushes around in a great panic, as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. So that's Alan Watts, right? Simply, you came alive. And this aliveness, transmitting, receiving multidimensional 4 billion bits of information, you've got the ability to choose the meaning in everything. What's the meaning that you're giving to every person, every area, everything that you're committed to? Every time anger comes up, it is the life force within you, allowing you to know, whoa, there might be an outside agreement or an inside yourself agreement, an internal or external agreement that is no longer connected to your heart, no longer connected in a meaningful way. And you've got to get out of denial about something. Connect compassionately with your own heart. Give that moment a moment. And then see and create with it, bargain, right? What are you here to create? What are you here to shift? What is the transformation that is to come through you that allows you to shine and everyone else that you have agreements with? All of life, you belong to all of life. All of life belongs to you. Baby, what would you add to that?
All of that is very powerful guidance. And I've read tons of books and I've gone to plenty of workshops and all that good stuff like that. But still, when the rubber hits the road, their life situations arise, and yet I still find myself, having an outburst of anger. And so, part of it is acknowledging that unless God, the grace of God strikes you with a bolt of lightning and your whole physiology has changed, there's most likely going to be a pattern of unconsciousness that will trigger anger. And so be gentle on yourself, but be committed to the journey, though. Commit to a journey of healing and of conscious response. And when you recognize yourself reacting through anger, know that that's what it is, that it's not who you are. It's still a reflection of the past, and that you have more work to do, but be patient with yourself, be gentle with yourself, continue to, find new processes and tools to heal and to grow more consciously, and, remain committed to your journey of spiritual growth, of conscious growth. And one day, hopefully, you can be in the relationship and, for as long as possible, respond with love instead of reacting with anger.
Respond with love instead of reacting with anger, I think, is the most important thing. The second you see someone getting angry, if you can feel, right, that you heal, that whole moment is, wow, heal. It's a command to your body. Within Miracle Makers Academy, that sit still, don't move, sit still, heal. Be with yourself or be with the other in the expression of that frustration and anger, as long as you're not putting yourself in harm's way, right? That's the caveat, that you're not putting yourself where you're going to be physically abused or physically hurt in some way, there, it's really important to remove yourself from violence. But if you know violence, to stay with someone, to stay with yourself, and to really notice. It's really an understanding that your temperament will shift and change as you're with it, as you temper it, right? If you can stay with yourself when anger comes up, if you can stay with the other beloved, when you can stay with them and go, gosh, I'm so sorry you're feeling what you're feeling. Tell me more about what you're feeling. And you invite them in to express in words. Many of the times when anger, epinephrine, adrenaline, same thing, right? They're the same thing, two different names. When that comes in, if you can sit with someone until their heart is turned back into connecting with the wholeness of the brain. This Sunday in the mystery school teachings, we're going to do a lot of the oils, a lot of the ancient techniques that are in Egypt and India and Peruvian and these different cultures for helping you have tools outside yourself for anger. That's what we're going to do on Sunday. Sundays we're on at 5:30 in the evening. We'll be on at 5:30 for Miracle Makers Academy. We are the first 45 minutes of this where we just want to get across the teaching, this transmission of wisdom, because we want you to have your miracle frequency turned on to the maximum degree. We also want you to know you're not alone. We're in a flock. There is a flock. There is a whole group of us that are doing the work and doing the energy work, doing the movement. And it's so beautiful. Again, in yesterday's class, we talked about the phenomena of birds and schools of fish. It's called murmuration, right? Murmuration that occurs. This incredible, where the birds flow in this, and it is a sacred geometrical pattern. It's an equation. And miracle makers together, we are growing that on purpose, to be that stability, to move forward, to really receive the highest bits of information that can create the greatest possibility for you. When you're angry, you can only receive the information that will keep you protected, safe in the same zone, or diminish your physical power. There's a purpose to your anger. The science shows you will expand your power. Purpose to anger equals passion, right? Adrenaline comes in, epinephrine, all of these, testosterone, cortisol, you go up on stage, you've got, this energy, this rush, 4 billion bits of information. If your heart is connected to your mind during those passionate times, very, very important. When there isn't a purpose, when you're out of control with anger, your body literally gets weakened. Your immune system, your heart, your blood vessels, everything diminishes so that you will not be able to hurt the flock, the rest of the field. So you are energy. The energy that you are belongs to humanity. The humanity within you, through your heart, through your compassion, through your compass, either expands what's possible for you. When you've got a purpose to the energy that you're exuding, when there's a purpose, it expands and affects everyone around you. When there isn't a purpose, when it isn't with the continuation of life, it diminishes your body. It diminishes your impact within yourself. You are a multidimensional being transmitting and receiving information from multiple dimensions. When you link up with a group that's powerfully transparent, wanting for you to have more of your light, your love, your miracle frequency, healed, feeling, and thriving, that's exactly what happens. You expand in that purpose. Your energy, what becomes available for you is the higher level of possibilities begin to open up. So we're so grateful you're part of Miracle Makers. Thank you. That's Greg, would you add anything else to this? Share?
No, but you are an awesome teacher. Thank you for all that you've shared today and explained. You bring together ideas in a way that is very powerful, my love. So thank you.
You're so welcome. We're gonna, this will be within Miracle Makers Academy. Thank you for being a member. That's it.